Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Taking Flight. Hey, guys, it's Megan, and today we're talking about owning your dang self. You know, that's something I'm all about, but it doesn't make it easy. It's not a topic that's just like, you get it and you move on, right? It's an everyday challenge, really, to just continuously kind of show up to owning who you are and creating really a life and just personality that feels good to you. And I think so often we just feel like we are who we are and that's just it. Somebody said that to me one time and I thought, really? That simple, huh? We just are who we are. There's no shifts, there's no changes. And I thought that was really interesting because in my own experience, I feel like we are shapeshifters, right? We are able to kind of compartmentalize who we are sometimes. We are able to take on new traits and qualities that feel good to us or release ones that we kind of no longer resonate with. And so that statement really kind of sat with me when the person said it to me. I thought, wow, that's a very linear way of thinking. So today we're going to dive into just how we can continuously check in with ourselves for one, but more importantly, really stay true to who we are as humans, as just point blank, as humans walking this earth. And then we add on all these hats and different titles and all of that stuff, and who we are in each of those capacities can also be different, right? You're not just necessarily the same person all the time, reacting in the same exact manner to all the things. I mean, at least I know I'm not. So I hope I'm not alone in that. But I think it's something that is so human for us to have that sense of kind of shift and change, right? Even walking into a room where you don't know people, you are going to present different than when you walk into a family party. Like you're going to kick your shoes off, you high five, you're going to hug, you're going to just, throw out like a wild joke to your brother over there at the kitchen table. But your energy walking into a crowd of people you don't know, you're not doing that, right? I mean, maybe there are people on this planet who are just going in, high-fiving everybody from the get, but I'm going to tell you that most people, right, they're going to shapeshift into different populations of people. And it's not right that we're being fake or changing who we are at the core of things. It's that we are reading the room, we are understanding how we operate within this population or this experience of life. And so I would love us to kind of just talk a little bit about what that looks like, how that feels, and how we can really make sure that we are owning ourselves in all areas, in all spaces of our lives, whether it's in our career, in our personal lives. It kind of just goes for all of it, if you ask me. And so for me, it's been a lifelong kind of look back. I've been kind of doing some, I guess, just thinking. Yeah. Uh-oh, she's been thinking. Watch out. That's always a scary world in my house. Ask my husband. If I start thinking or ideating, it's like, oh, where are we going? What are we painting? What furniture are we moving? What idea is happening in the business now? I'm sure you can resonate with that in some way, shape, or form. I know you guys are movers, shakers, creatives, all the things. And so I've been thinking, though, more about retrospectively about who I have been over my lifetime. And there's been so many little moments of thinking that I knew who I was and how I was maybe perceived in the world. And then you have these moments where somebody maybe tells you something that they thought about you or, reminds you of a memory and you're like, wait, what? That's how I was or how people experienced me. So for instance, I'm going to use the example when I think we were in maybe 6th grade. There was a group of us girls who talked about going kind of like in goth, like as goths, essentially, for Halloween, whatever that means. I don't know. But at the time it meant something. Okay. And I decided I didn't want to do that. This is so funny to me, but I ended up being a tree for Halloween that year. A far stretch. I can't even say what this. I wish I was just making this up, but I'm not. A far stretch from being in a group of friends with, these kind of planned out group costumes to being a tree. Now, you might want to know a little bit more about that costume. And if you do, I will find a picture and I will put it on my social media. But it was interesting and it was definitely very creative. But what I'm saying is when I look back to that moment in my life, I was saying, you know what? I don't really care what people think about my choice. And one of my really good friends reminded me that there was a girl in the group that was like annoyed. Like, why would you want to be a tree? What are you doing? Like, you're ruining our group costume, which one less goth like in this group costume was not going to hurt anybody, right? I think they had it covered. But here is the thing. I didn't know at the time that I was just standing up for what I wanted to do, the creative idea that I had. And now when I look back, I realize that I was showing exactly who I was. And so there's so many things that, right, if you look back, whether it's as comical as deciding to be a tree on Halloween or not, we look back and we can see kind of who we were at the core of our being. And if we start to collect these different stories, and there's a common thread, if you will, we can start to understand, wow, like this is who I really am versus the version of myself that would have stayed in that group costume and just did it because I want to please people. And don't get me wrong, still a lifelong people pleaser, recovering people pleaser at this point in life. But at that moment, I was like, no, that's not who I am. This is who I am and how I want to be. And so we take these moments and these versions of ourselves and we can take a look and just really understand, okay, wow, that is interesting to kind of extract. And I would not have thought of all of it on my own if my friend didn't say, yeah, people were like annoyed, like that you changed your idea and da da da. And I was proud of that version of myself for just sticking to who I was, right? As silly as it sounds and as out there as that costume, was, I stuck to it. So enter adult Megan, right? And what am I doing now in my life that sticks to those virtues, those ideas, the creativity, right? A lot of it, right? And in my world, it comes out in lots of ways. It comes out with having purple in my hair. It comes out with having sparkle on my shoes and really bold choices in my home decor and kind of fostering this different creative self that honestly is just who I am, right? It doesn't mean that I always feel creative. It doesn't always mean that I feel really in ownership of who I am. It doesn't mean that at all. I'm going to promise you that. I had a beautiful friend and fellow business owner tell me one time, you always have it together. You always just have, cute accessories and your journals match your energy and, all the things. And you're always just like so happy to be here. And it hit me a little bit, right? Because although I own that I am that person and I am able to, because of tools, resources, and getting quiet with myself often, I'm able to sustain being in those energies and feeling on in my life often. I'm not always. So something that's really important when you are allowing yourself to own who you are, it's important to know that perceptions of others also come into play of that, because that is not a true full 360 reality of who I am, right? That's a perception. And I use that example just to show you because we all look at somebody, a lot of people in our lives that we think, oh, they are whatever the word is we're attaching to them. They're really creative. They're really on top of it. They're really whatever, And how many times do we do that, but then dig at ourselves because we don't feel that we match that? But why should we? We're not that person. And honestly, somebody's perception of you might be very similar to what you're perceiving of that person. I'm sure of it, right? Or something that you didn't even know people perceived about you. So when we allow the fact that like perception comes into play, that we have just an ebb and flow of who we are, how we just navigate the world, a room of people, right? That going into a crowd of people you don't know versus high-fiving your brother feeling, like those all are valid They're so valid. But the reality is when we own ourselves more and more, meaning if we want to rock that haircut that, feels like it's out there and bold and maybe you got a shaved side or whatever it is, or we have a really quirky sense of style and sometimes we tone it down because we're afraid of what people are going to think or say or feel because of it, then we've done ourselves a disservice, right? It takes a lot of practice, right, to just stay in the pocket of who we are. And again, we're shapeshifters. So who we are is going to ebb and flow anyways. But to own it is to say, you know what? I am becoming courageous enough in this moment to make the choice to wear that, do that, say this. Yeah. And then deal with what comes. If there's somebody who doesn't like it, if there is a feeling of a little uncomfortableness, if there is that back talk going on in our brains that's going, oh, maybe you should go home. You should not be wearing this. Why did you wear this outfit? You feel like you're standing out. What is happening? I've been there a million times. I love bright colors. That's no surprise to anybody in my world. So sometimes I'll be out in the world at wherever and have a bright pink blazer on. And I'm like, oh God, everybody's wearing neutrals and all the things. Okay, so what? Who is it hurting, right? And I'm using something really simple to use as an example, but this goes as deep as doing things in our lives or careers, making a big move, bringing a vision to life that feels maybe audacious, sitting in front of a camera, having a YouTube and podcast. This is real, right? I could be like, who am I to do any of this stuff? Who am I to wear a pink blazer? Who am I to have a podcast? Right? So what are you saying to yourself about who am I? What are you saying to yourself? How are you either coddling the idea that feels really authentic to you? And I know that word has been really kind of almost buzzworded up or whatever you want to say over the last handful of years, that authenticity, but it's just true. Like, what other way are we going to say it? How are you going to uphold your authenticity no matter what room you're in, no matter who says what, no matter what you say about it, right? If in your heart of hearts it is the right decision, it is the right outfit, it is the right thing to say, that's all that really matters. If you really think about it, if we boil a life down, we have these little blips of experiences every single day. We could do all of them in a myriad of ways. I talked about prisms on the last episode, and there's so many facets and there's so many different looks. It could be really kind of stretched out over the wall or a little tiny dot because of the way the sun's hitting it. And that's the same thing when we go into our experiences in our everyday life. We can say 25 different answers to the same question at any given time. But what chooses to come out of our mouth is the most important one because it's done. It is what it is. What we choose to put on our bodies, what we choose to do with our bodies, how we navigate a relationship. If we decide to quit our business, quit our job, change something, those are the most important thing, I should say, is the thing that you choose to do because it's what is now a reality. And you will find that when you own yourself and you get used to making these choices that just are in line with who you are and where you're going, the more that the thing that comes out of your mouth or the choice that you make is the one that you needed. Point blank. It can be as simple as that. Now, is the reality of that always feel that simple? Obviously not. Obviously not. I wish I could say, yeah, just keep feeling into who you are and doing that, and it's going to feel great all the time. It's really not the truth. And one of those things that, it's life. The perspective that we can have about it, however, is what's important. And so really taking a moment, I want us to kind of think about these takeaways then from this. Thinking about the moment in which we are sitting there kind of face to face with ourselves and we are having that kind of, I know we don't like to do this a lot, just a really hard look at ourselves in the mirror and saying, who are you and what do you stand for? Do you have a personal mission statement? If you have a business, I hope at least, you have a business mission statement or a promise statement, whatever you want to call it. But do you have a personal one, right? I stand for, here, I'll use my own as an example, as I always do. But my personal mission statement is that I want to be a safe space, not only for myself to exist in, but for other people to come along and be with. I want to enjoy life's silly things and find the magic in the moments and in the tiniest pieces and spaces and places of life. So what I'm saying about myself there is that I want to be comfortable in my own skin. I want others to feel comfortable and safe around me. And I want to enjoy all of life's wonders. And some days, maybe that could be hard for a lot of us, right? To find the little speck of wonder. But the beauty is, because it's my mission, I will stand up and I will figure out how to find it on the worst of days. So, what is your mission statement, your personal mission statement? And I would love to hear them. So if you drop them in the comments here on YouTube, or let me know what your mission statement is. Reach out and let me know. I would love to celebrate it for you and just honor who you are. Number 2, once you kind of have an idea of who you are from that kind of promise statement, how are you operating within it? Are you getting up every day and making choices that are in alignment with it, or are you not upholding that statement, right? And there are days that you are going to go off, you're going to kind of ride off into the sunset and you're going to kind of go off the trail, and that's okay. But if you are constantly kind of reminding yourself of this mission statement and going back inward, you can get back on track, right? What does this version of you do? So kind of number 3, rolling that into number 3. And what does this version of you do, right? If this version of you feels happy and light and ambitious, maybe, I'm just throwing some words out, do they give themselves proper morning routine, for instance? Do they make choices in their household, right? Whether it's the things around them, the people within it that serve them and their mission, right? And I don't want you to think like serve as in like serving, like you are being served and there's servants around you. I mean, is what you are cultivating around you serving yourself and the world around you? How are you experiencing it then, right? So number 3 is just then tactically making choices. So for me, one thing that I really wanted to step into is kind of feeling good in my own skin at a time when I don't necessarily feel that way, right? People, ebb and flow in our body confidence and what we feel in our bodies. And I'm at a space where I wanted to, no matter what it felt or looked like, I wanted to own my style. So I'm making choices, right? I am making choices to up level. I worked with stylist, shout out Jody, I love you, to help me start thinking about different ways that I can feel me. I can wear colorful clothing. I can wear fun jewelry. I can do all the things. So that's a conscious choice that I made to support my mission of feeling safe in my body, right? It goes right back to that mission. Another one is getting more movement. And if you're on my socials, you've seen I've been doing the 365-day challenge of dancing every single day. Pick one song and dance. I don't care if you Napoleon Dynamite it or if you have the best dance moves in the whole entire world or whatever it looks like, or if you're just tapping your toe and nodding your head, it's a start. But right, that's a choice that I made for myself, for my community, for the collective, so that we can raise our energy. And on the days that I don't want to do it are the days when it's the best. And again, it goes back to the mission. It goes back to the idea that I'm creating and cultivating a safe space for myself and others. So that one's a twofold for that piece of my mission. And I think that's really cool. So what is it for you? Your mission statement, assessing how and where and who and when you are supporting that mission statement, and then tools and resources to help you do it on on its own, right? It starts to take a life of its own. Sometimes you don't even have to think about it as much. Once you start making choices, it's like on autopilot, right? Because you're going, wait, I know exactly who I am in this session, in this moment, in this conversation. And when you feel astray, it'll always pull you back. So I hope this gives you some food for thought, something to think about so that you can really, truly own who you are from all different levels, all different perspectives, from your character, from your style, to what you do in your life and career. All of it matters and you matter. And that, if nothing else from this episode, if you take away that, then I will be happy. Until next time, my friends, stay grounded and stay happy.